Triassic extinction event, 90 to 90% of marine species became extinct, as well as 70% of all land organisms. It is also the only known mass extinction of insects. It took 30 million years for land vertebrates to fully recover. There's also significant evidence that a massive flood basalt, eruptions from magma output lasting thousands of years, and now is what they call the Siberian traps, contributed to environmental stress leading to mass extinction. Now, what I was going to say, 251 million years ago, all the landmass, your South America, your Africa, your Europe, your United States, North America, were all together in one landmass. There were no continents. They were all plopped together in this big continent called Pangea. Okay? Ken's shaking his head, so gotta be right. Pangea. And what happened was that these flood basalts from the Siberia, where now the Siberian traps, it lasted thousands of years. It put out a lot of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. And that was a trigger. And what happened was that it raised the temperature 5 degrees Celsius when it put out all this carbon dioxide. Now, what happened was that the 5 degrees Celsius would not explain the increase in world temperatures to explain the death of 95% of life. But such warming raised the ocean temperatures until the frozen methane reserves, which is what's happening now as the ocean melts here in a couple of years. We got all this methane coming up below the ocean floor near coastlines, melted, expelling enough methane among the most potent greenhouse gases into the atmosphere to raise world temperatures another additional 5 degrees Celsius. So it raised it 10 degrees Celsius. And the extinctions happened in 3 phases. The first phase was land-based, the second phase was marine-based, and the third phase was land-based again. So what happened was that they think that this flood basalt put enough carbon dioxide and greenhouse gases to increase it. Remember, we said we're never over 300, now we're at 400. It went to 2,000 in this period, they believe. Okay? And what happened was that a lot of land organisms died in the first extinction when the temperatures got too warm. The oceans warmed up, and when your oceans warm up, you don't get as much oxygen in the ocean. And due to decreased oxygen, a sulfate bacteria survived. And this sulfate bacteria produced hydrogen sulfide. And that hydrogen sulfide killed a lot of stuff in the oceans. It also got into the atmosphere. Once it got into the atmosphere, it reacted with the ozone layer. And then the organisms that didn't die from the heat died from the ultraviolet radiation, because there was no ozone left to protect the other species on Earth enough ozone. So, pretty scary stuff. But that's what happened in the past. And that's just a big, I guess the question is, it's could be a problem. But these are all unforeseen consequences.
I was watching something on Charlie Rose, Bill and Melinda Gates, from the Gates Foundation. Earlier in your presentation, we were talking about the effects of methane, and carbon dioxide, and all the other marine elements. In Africa, the Gates Foundation is having a massive